Happy Sunday, everybody. I am just pouring myself another hot cup of coffee because it's still morning and so I'm still coffeeing, and today I have Da Vinci sugar-free amaretto. Now, if you haven't seen the Da Vinci sugar-free syrups at a market that I've been at, you need to come check them out because I carry lots and lots of flavors, and this one is definitely one of my favorites. Okay, that's enough about coffee. Well, I don't know if we can ever have enough about coffee, but we are going to do something fun this morning. We're going to make an omelette, which does not sound terribly exciting, I know, but we're going to make it a whole lot more exciting because this morning we are going to make a taco omelette. What on earth is a taco omelette? Well, hang around and you will see, and you won't be sorry that you did. So, first things first, you want to see what we're doing? Okay. Now, the very first thing that we're going to do is get that put away. 60 grams of taco meat. Now, you can use whatever kind of meat you like. I chose this time to use turkey. I had some minced turkey, or ground turkey, however you want to say it, in the fridge that I want to use up. And so that's what I'm using, but you can use beef, you can use whatever type of meat that you have. And this has TSL Organics organic taco seasoning in it. So, one of my favorites. It's actually one of the things that started the whole TSL Organics thing for me. Now, we are going to add this just into a pot and warm it up just a wee little bit. Okay. Now this is not going to take long to warm up, but while we're waiting for that to warm up, we are going to take our 2 eggs, move the spot of pepper off there, and crack them one at a time into a bowl. Way easier to get the shell out if you do it that way, and if you end up with a bad egg, you haven't wrecked your whole creation. Okay, there we go. 2 eggs. Oh, can you hear that sizzling? And have you noticed, I actually have video and audio. And this is warming up really quickly. We don't need to cook it. It's already cooked. So, what we're doing is we are just warming it up so that we have warm taco meat to put in our omelet. Okay, now that is warm enough. So see, it doesn't take very long at all. Okay, I know I'm making lots of noise, but there we are. Okay, there is our 60 grams of taco meat. And next things next, or however you say that, you want your frying pan preheated. It's important that it's preheated, otherwise your eggs are going to stick to the pan, and that is absolutely not what we want. Now, I'm preheating it dry, and the reason that I'm doing that is because if you preheat it with oil in it, you may end up with your oil smoking, and this way we don't have to worry about the oil burning so much. Now, I've got this set on 3, and I'm going to let it heat up there at 3 for a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it down. Now, one thing that I always make sure of, I'm a little bit anal about this for exactly that reason. I keep the handle of the pan turned way away from anywhere that anybody's going to be, because I don't want anybody ending up getting burned, pulling it off the counter. Now we are just going to beat these eggs up until they're nice and beat, and we're going to add 15 milliliters of whipping cream. Why are we buying whipping cream and not coffee cream or any of the other creams? Because whipping cream has got a much higher fat content, which is what we're after, because if you buy something that has a lower fat content, there's two things are true. Higher fat means lower carbs. So if that's true, if you're a math person, then you know the inverse is true as well. If higher fat means lower carbs, lower fat, that's right, it means higher carbs. So 15 milliliters of whipping cream into our eggs, and we keep beating those up. And now I am using bacon fat just because an omelet without bacon fat just doesn't seem right. And this pan is going to be heating up very quickly because we're using a magnetic induction burner. Now, if you have one, that's awesome. If you don't have one, it doesn't matter. But you don't want to be trying to cook an omelet on high. And you don't want to cook it on high because, now you can see this is smoking just a wee bit, so it is hot enough. Now, I will talk to you about cooking the omelet on high in a minute, but right now, we're making sure that we have this oil all the way around the pan. You want the pan a little bit up on the sides because we don't want this egg sticking to the pan anywhere. So there, we've got the oil all over the pan, up the sides, and we are going to pour this in here. And I'm going to get all of this egg in here. Now, can you see this? This is beautiful. And look at how it's bubbling on the edges. Okay, now we are just going to move this a little bit. And you can see that there's a little bit of oil around the edge of this omelet. That's okay. That is absolutely okay because we want this omelet to be big and round and beautiful. Now, the bigger the pan you have, the thinner your omelet is going to be. That might be better for you, or it might be worse. Are you sharing with a friend? Or do you want a 3-egg omelet? Now, we've used 2 eggs in this one, and it's important to remember when you're looking at your carb count that an egg has 0.5 gram of carbs in it. It just is what it is. So the bigger the pan is on the bottom, the more quickly it's going to cook because it's going to be thin. So we're going to let this just do its thing here for a little bit. I think I'm going to turn it up to 2. Omelets should not be brown when you take them out of the pan. I mean, a little bit golden, but you don't want them really brown. These need to be cooked slowly, and you want the inside of the omelet to be just beautiful and creamy. Now, when I do an omelet, I cook it on low and I let this go until it is pretty much cooked all the way through. Now, this pan, in all honesty, this pan is a little bit too small for 2 eggs, but we are going to make it work. And you can see that it's cooking from the edge in already. And if you're dealing with the same thing that I am here today, you can move a little bit of the raw egg out and let it kind of sizzle, thin things out a little bit. And then it will cook a little bit more evenly and a little bit more quickly, and that's what we're after. But you can see it's cooking through very nicely. Okay, so we're just going to let that go. Now, typically when I'm cooking eggs, you will see me put salt on it, and I'm not adding salt to this. And the reason that I'm adding only pepper, and I'm going to do that right now because I want the pepper inside where it's not going to be seen once we flip our omelet. Okay. And I'm not adding salt because our taco meat has got salt in it. And our grated cheese, our 30 grams of grated cheese. Now, this is a Tex-Mex cheese, but you can add whatever you like. Tex-Mex seemed like a good choice when I'm doing a taco omelet. When you do your taco meat, how much salt do you add to that? And cheese has salt in it as well. Now, we are going to add our taco meat on this omelet because it is getting to the point where it's getting more done. And so we're not adding a lot of fillings in our omelet. And we're not adding a lot of fillings because we don't want to be adding a lot of carbs. You can add all kinds of things to your omelets. But if you do that, are you going to be adding more carbs? And I don't want to be adding more carbs. If I'm going to add anything to this, it's going to be more fat. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of cheese on top of this. Now you can add the cheese on top and then inside too, but remember that cheese has a little bit of carbs as well. So this is 30 grams of Tex-Mex cheese, and that 30 grams has 1 gram of carbs. So the more cheese you add, the more eggs you add, the more anything you add, you're very possibly moving that carb count up. So you want to be very careful with that. And you'll see, look at how beautifully that's moving in the pan. Anybody that tells you if you want to cook eggs and you want to do it properly, you need to do it in a non-stick pan because you can't do it in, yeah, don't ever listen to that. That's absolutely not true. That is something that the no-stick pan people want us to believe, but it absolutely is not true. Now we are going to flip this and look at that. A little bit golden brown and absolutely beautiful. Now the egg isn't quite done, but it will be. We're just going to let it sit on that side for a second, and then I'm going to use a bigger flipper just to flip it over and let the other side go for a second. And this is going to be beautiful and creamy and melty and delicious. Okay, let's get this. Now let's see if I can do this without breaking it. I'm very good at flipping an omelet and breaking it. Not so good sometimes at, aha, and I did it. Yes. All right, there we go. That omelet is absolutely beautiful. So it has a little bit of brown on the outside. It has a little bit of taco and a little bit of cheese on the inside. We're going to have just enough salt because I've salted the taco meat and I know there's salt in the cheese. So now we need to get ready to do a taste test on this. Now, one of the things that almost every taco needs, in my opinion, now I'm just going to turn this off and let that sit in a hot pan, make sure that that cheese is nice and melty. One of the things that all tacos need, almost all tacos, is salsa. Now, if you are looking at salsa in the grocery store, make sure that you're reading the ingredients. You need to become, good morning, Mom. You need to become absolutely focused on reading ingredients. Ingredients are far more important than reading the nutrition panel. And the reason that it's more important is because a lot of times the nutrition panel is not going to tell you the whole story. And bacon is one of my favorite examples, or any type of sausage. You read the nutrition panel and it will say 1 gram of carbs, or it will say 0 carbs, but then you look at the ingredients and it has breadcrumbs and sugar and, you know, things that when you're doing keto, when you're eating low carb, you want to eliminate these things from your diet. And if you are not reading the ingredients, you are not going to be eliminating them. So even if one sausage has 1 gram of carbs, when you know there's sugar and wheat in it, you've got inflammatory ingredients in there, not something that you want to be doing. Okay, now let's take a look at this again. Look at how pretty that is. It is just absolutely gorgeous, and we're going to get it out of here and onto the plate. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That is just so pretty. Sneak a bite. That is wonderful. Now, I want to thank you guys for being patient with me and for showing up today. I was having a little bit of technical difficulties with my cameras and my mic, as some of you might know. It was entirely caused by a UFE. That's a specific type of error. And for those of you who don't know what a UFE is, it is a user flippin' error. That's what it was, and I would be the user, and it was my error. But I did finally figure it out. coffee in the morning. Mornings without coffee, just not really worth it. Okay, let's take a look at this omelet. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that stringy cheese coming out of there. Look at this. Oh, stringy, stringy. Now we're just going to go right there. And you can see the cheesiness and the yumminess. Absolutely did not need any salt at all. Now, if you don't salt your taco meat, then maybe it would need a little bit of salt. Oh, look at that. That is just amazing. When your cheese strings like that, you have definitely made it melty enough. And melty, I think, should be a much more used word in the English language. And if it isn't technically a word, we're going to make it a word. So there's our melty taco omelet in an eggshell. So you've got virtually no carbs in the shell. This entire 2-egg omelet with the meat and the cheese and everything else, 2 grams of net carbs. So, if you are trying to figure out what to make for brunch today, please consider this. Now, if you don't have TSL Organics taco seasoning in your cupboard, get hold of me. We can maybe make that a reality in your cupboard if that's what you're looking for. If you are in Central Alberta, please come and visit me at any of the markets that I'm at. I was in Rimbey, Alberta yesterday from 9:30 to 12:30. I will be in Wetaskiwin from 3 to 7 on Wednesday. And I will be in Lacombe on Thursday from 3 to 6. And I will be back in Rimbey on Saturday. So if you need TSL Organic seasonings in your cupboard or individual spices, get hold of me. Let me know what it is that you need. I would be more than happy to make that happen for you. And I am very grateful that you chose to join me today. This is one of my very favorite times of the week, is when we can get together and learn a little bit about keto. Well, you know what? I think probably I can make some taco seasoning happen in your world. Okay, I am going to let you guys go a little bit early because I have a lot of stuff to do to get ready for this week. Unless anybody has any questions about keto, I would be happy to answer them. And so whether you're watching this live or you're watching it after the fact, put your questions in there. If you have questions about low carb or keto, or what's the difference between low carb and keto, we can definitely talk about that. So I am going to say goodbye for now. I hope that all of you do your very best to live your best version of this shining life. That's what I'm going to do with the rest of my omelet and my coffee. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'm thrilled that you chose to be here, and I am so excited to be here with you always. So I will see you on Friday.